Hi, welcome to Future Fast, and we continue with Pawas Agarwal. And for those of you who are here for the first time, I really urge you to go back and look up the first part of our conversation, which was basically he shares his journey all through, and that would be very relevant and connecting to the conversation that we are going to have now. So please go listen to it and then come back and join to this conversation. Then you will be able to connect the dots as easily. And of course, since you're here for the first time, do make it a point to subscribe to Future Path. And so, hence, I'm not introducing Powers since you're going to look up. That is if you are here for the first time. So, Powers, thank you once again for making it a Future Fast.
Thank you, Nanju, and I'm always happy to be back.
Wonderful. So, why Pathfinders? I'll just jump straight in.
So when I was trying to start off on my own about 5 years back, like a structured that I am, so I actually looked back in my life and tried to figure out where I have been successful and what I enjoy doing. Trying to find my, as I say in Japanese, ikigai, right? And I came up with this, that what's my personal mission. Why do I exist, kind of stuff. And I came up with this one very nice phrase which stuck with me, and I really strongly believe in that. Is that I think I'm here to create impact. It stopped there. Now creating impact can happen at different levels. You can impact an individual, you can impact a small group of people, and also you can impact large numbers of people or ecosystems. So until now, I had felt that I have, and I like doing that. When I help out people who reach out to me, I'm in one sense impacting their lives positively, which gives me great joy without any expectation in return. That's my only reward, is the joy that I get while doing that. So I said, let me now sort of scale this up and say that how can I impact at scale? And I said, what are the forums by which I can do that? Of course, I also did not want to invest monetarily into a business in a very, very big way. I do not want to get into that, fundraising and that kind of a game. So I said, okay, so I think it looks like advisory service would be the best route to create impact at scale, because then I would be impacting companies and their employees and their customers. And if I'm able to do that with many clients, then that becomes manifold, right, in terms of that impact. And in the process, my investments are going to be limited. My monetary investments are going to be limited, and of course, I will make a living. So in that sense, it serves my ikigai. So I said, okay, let's start with that. When I started PathFinders Nanju 5 years ago, it was frankly a pretty much muddled up kind of a go-to-market product mix. I literally told my potential clients that I can do anything for you, which they didn't believe. Thankfully, they didn't believe in that. And it started like that. But over a period of time, what happened is two things. One is COVID happened for 2 years. And such kind of work will always take a backseat during the times like COVID. But it gave me a lot of time to refine my product mix, make it sharper, make it unique in that sense. And I used that time productively to do that. And once sort of COVID got over, so we are not talking about, I'm 5 years into this journey. And if you take off 2 years of COVID, so technically and for all practical purposes, I'm 3 years into this journey. For about a year, I was experimenting with my clients, with my product mix, and so on and so forth. Only in the last 2 years or so, and primarily after COVID, basically, is when I've had a very sharp product mix to go to market with, very unique set of products, solutions to go to my clients with. And thankfully, now I'm doing very well because of that. But I think, just to answer your question in short, why Pathfinders? It is basically to feed my need of wanting to create impact and at scale. In the morning of a typical day, I might be engaging with a payments bank on their culture. In the afternoon of the same day, I might be engaging with a metals company on their distribution. And in the evening of the same day, I'll be probably engaging with a education startup on their business to business sales structure. So in the same day, for me, and I love variety, as you see in my career as well. Now I get variety in the same day. Uh, I get to engage with very, very different industries, very, very different clients, very, very different cultures, and very, very different subjects in the same day. Typically, 2 to 3 such in-depth engagements in a day. But it's not that it's just about width of experiences. Because 75% of my business is actually advisory, it is pretty much long term, 6 months, 1 year, 2 years kind of engagements. I have to get into the depth of those things. I cannot otherwise last out with my clients. So, in that sense, this current scheme of things that I am at gives me the width of experiences which I love, gives me the depth that I'm able to bring to the table, use my experience, my background, etc., to the subject, and also feed towards my personal mission of wanting to create impact at scale. So this is what it is in short, Manju. Why Pathfinders?
Well, Pawas, there are many people who say consulting or advisory is not being entrepreneur. So, what do you say for that?
So you know, as an entrepreneur, as a consultant, I have gone through the entire cycle of pain and pangs of trying to get the product mix right, trying to get my first paying clients, uh, keeping them, keeping getting repeat work from them, having days where I have no work, uh, having days when I have too much work. Uh, so even as we speak, I do have a pipeline of work, but when I get up tomorrow morning, I will have to think, how do I dig this well now? I have to literally dig a new well every day. So it's not like a job. It's not a safe job that you are in a large company or a small company even, and you have a job to do. No, it is you are doing your own stuff. You are doing your own, and so I may not be deliberately getting into the realm of fundraising and valuation and the usual startup mix. But besides that, I think having uh, a sleepless night because of sometimes no work or sometimes too much work, sometimes thinking on a uh, end delivery to a client the next day, which keeps me awake at night, to having a very restful sleep when I have done a damn good job as well, in the client's opinion. So I think the pains and the pangs of an entrepreneur are there as in an advisory or as a consultant.
And obviously, I think your journey across different lines of businesses starting in the Tata Group, I guess that primarily the factor that gives you the confidence to say, I'll do anything,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
even you taking up a chief risk officer for an insurance company coming from a, more of a consulting role, and prior
yeah,
to that, regional sales role.
yeah,
So,
yeah. I remember when I got the job of chief risk officer at Tata A Life, one of my friends told me uh, uh, in Hindi, एक होता है देना. That means the company has given that role. That's company's choice. But दूसरा होता है लेना. That means it is my choice to take that role, and that needs a lot of what do you say,
courage
guda,
to
as they say in Hindi, right? I mean, that needs a lot of confidence, if not overconfidence, to take up that role. So yeah, so Nanju, in fact, as we speak, I would have engaged with some 75 companies across industries, across countries, across subjects. Uh, and as we speak, we have about 45, 50 clients in Pathfinders. A lot of them give us repeat business. Most of my business is actually repeat business because by design we over deliver. And they keep giving us business repeatedly, year after year, without us asking about it. And they also refer us. So even if the new reference doesn't give us business, at least it tells me that the person who gave the reference was happy with my work, right? So, and sometimes references work out after many years. I got referred to by a friend of mine, a professional colleague of mine from Indian Hotels, where I had done some B2B sales work advisory for them, and he referred to me. He referred me to a education startup on the same subject. He told this guy that Pawas is a great guy on B2B sales. Just look up, and if you need some help from him, just reach out to him. So this guy, the education startup chap founder, he reached out to me many years ago, almost 3-4 years ago, and next week we are doing some work for them. So the lead time is really long,
Three,
uh,
four
but
years.
but I did not chase him, for work. We just kept in touch, and now we are doing some work for them next week as we speak. It's contracted already, so I can talk about it.
Right. Well, you did mention earlier in our earlier conversation that you don't sell and all your business is through your network. Uh, you still have to sell, right? I mean,
Hmm. Hmm.
even if it is the network, because they need to see you. I mean, of course, you said that you actually reached out to them saying you can do anything, pretty much. But how do you position it? Pathfinders as someone who will solve your problem, or Pathfinders is someone where you have found your destination, but I'll help you make you reach
Hmm.
that faster, better, whatever. What's your
So
pitch there?
yeah, so we work on a few principles, Nanju. One is that we work on the most important things for a client. How do we ensure that? Is by going top down. Because of my network, from alumni network, from corporate network, and so on and so forth, I do get access to the top of a client, and we engage with the top management of the client, and then we ensure that we are working on the most important subjects for the client. Those could be problems, those could be opportunities, but they have to be important to the company. We may end up working with middle management of the company, but we go top down, that's for sure. I have not taken up any work where I have not been able to reach the MD or the CXO of the company to work on a subject. I do not send a proposal to a client based on my meeting with a middle HR person or a junior HR person. No, I will ask for a meeting with the top of the company, and only then I work on that subject. So that's one. It is also good for the client. It is also good for us because of for us it is bandwidth issues. We can't be working on very simple, unimportant stuff for a company because bandwidth is limited. And for the company also it is important because then they get to use us, reasonably high quality resource on the most important subjects for themselves, right? So that's one. Second is we deliver content in some very business contextualized fashion. See, today content is not king, Nanju. You know that. Thanks to Google, thanks to ChatGPT, you can look up on these forums for any subject, and you will get good content, free of cost. So they don't have to engage people like us, and or you for that matter, to work on those subjects. They can just go to Google, download stuff, and engage their whatever they want to do with that content. But we work with partners who are of similar profiles like ours. Generally 20-30 years of business experience, not straight jacketed functional experience, uh, and mostly pedigreed education background and so on. So that brings a little quality check in terms of whom we are talking with as partners. So that brings a certain quality on the table to the clients. So that's the second bit. It ensures a lot of business context to the content. The third is a USP. We work on this content in some very unique and interesting ways. On the non-tech side, we use things like music, movies, theater, dance, art forms, Indian mythology, cartoons, you name it. On the tech side, we use things like artificial intelligence, mobile gaming, simulation games, and so on. So this makes the content very sticky. No, you do a intervention on a Friday, even a top management workshop on culture change. Monday morning, everyone is back to being the normal self. They have forgotten what happened on Friday, right? It's like in a Rajnikant movie, right? You watch a Rajnikant movie on a Friday, first show, and then after the movie, you're Rajnikant. But next morning, when you get up, you're being back to Pawas, right? So we want the Rajnikant effect to last longer, if not forever. And for that, we use these very interesting formats to deliver the content. It stays with the audience much longer. So that's a USP. So three things: we work on the most important subjects for the client, we work on the content in very business contextualized fashion, and we work on this content in very unique and interesting formats. So these three things, these three are pillars with which we go to the market. Now, going to the market, as you sell, you got to sell. How do you get a business otherwise, and so on and so forth. So over a period of time, I actually started off with cold calling. By the way, when I started 5 years back, it didn't work. In this business, see, consulting like life insurance is not sold; it is bought. So you have to be in front of your client meaning in the client's mind when the client wants you. So for that, we do some regular social media posts, and that's it. That puts us in the minds of clients on a reasonably regular basis, but we don't actively sell. I don't call people when I have some free time and say that, we do this, do you want this, that kind of stuff we don't do at all. But whatever leads we get, and we get some good quality leads every week, I end up engaging with maybe one or two potential new clients every week in depth to make a pitch. That we follow through very religiously. Again, we don't do maniacal follow-up. If somebody wants a meeting, we give that meeting. Somebody wants to understand some stuff that we do that. Somebody wants a proposal after, of course, having us met the top management of the company, we give that proposal, but we don't follow up after that. We believe that people will come back to us when they have the need, and they anyway know how to reach us. In that sense, it is a pull business. We don't push our stuff. Most of our business is on a pull basis. That ensures conversions, that ensures that the client is really needing us, and that ensures stickiness and partnership. So it's not a vendor purchaser relationship. It is more of a partner relationship that we work towards. So we don't sell in that sense. Of course, when I meet people, I talk about myself, I talk about our work, but that's not active selling. Yesterday, I was in Calcutta airport. I met an ex-colleague of mine from Tatas. I met him after some 12, 13 years. We have been in touch, but not met personally face to face. I spoke to him about it. I spoke to him about what I'm doing. So that if you want to call that selling, it's fine. I will, of course, send what we do to him on mail today. So I will do that. But I will not follow up with him. He said he will introduce me to his HR guy. I will make that request once more, and that's it. I will not follow up with him. Hey, what happened? Can you connect me to HR guy? Can you connect me to HR guy? No, I will not do that. He knows what I do. He knows how to reach me, and I will leave it at that. Whenever the time comes, he will reach out to me, and we will do some good work together. And that's what I believe in magic. The other thing, Nanju, sorry, before you go, the other thing is whenever we get work, and now we have enough work on the table, we ensure over delivery. By design, we over deliver. We in fact tell our clients that we will over deliver. So don't ask us. So we don't negotiate on pricing. Whatever pricing we give them on the first instance is what we go with. Otherwise, we will not do that work. We have taken that stance. But our pricing is honest. It's very honest pricing. But we also tell our clients that on this pricing, we will over deliver. So do not worry. And we have done that. And because of that, our clients keep coming back to us. This is the mantra of sales, Ranju.
Wonderful. So what's the most difficult decision that you had to take through this entrepreneurial journey?
I think uh, you know, before one gets into being an entrepreneur, you know, one needs to check off a few boxes, right? All of us know that. Uh, One is that you need to have some financial. I think the financial uh, uh, support that you need to have for yourself is most important. You have a family to take care of, etc., etc. So, in my case, for example, when I left a regular job to start off on my own, I did not have any loans. I had my own housing. My wife has a job, so and we have enough savings to take care of for a few years. So it's more of an opportunity cost rather than a real cost. So I didn't have any real costs per se to start off. So I was lucky in that sense. Not everyone is, but one does need to check off one's financial support that one has in life to be able to take this jump. I think that's one first thing. The second thing is what will you give the world? What will you sell to the world that they will pay you for and that you enjoy doing? I think that's the most important and the most difficult thing that you need to cover personally. More, of course, financial stuff to take care of is more practical stuff to do, but what will you enjoy doing? What will pay you? What will your clients need? You know, the ikigai thing. I think that is the most important question. And I met a lot of people who think that that can be sorted out by having a brainstorming session for a few hours. No, you start off with that, and then you start off on your entrepreneurial journey, and then you refine it. And it can take years. It can take 1 year, 2 years, 3 years to refine the journey. But you will refine the journey. If you're reasonably good, one will be able to come to that golden mean in that sense. But I think that's the most important and most difficult decision to to be able to come to that golden mean. I think a third thing that is difficult uh, is to say no, uh, because as an entrepreneur, you want business, right? You want to be earning a living. You want to take care of a family with finances and stuff like that. So when you get some work, either from a bad client or from a client, but the work is not good, which you don't want to do, or the pricing is not right, or sometimes people want it free, how do you say no? And especially in our work, our business comes through network, as I said, right? So I had to say no to a friend, basically. Uh, so that is the third difficult thing that one needs to be aware of. I have uh, initially I did some. It was difficult for me to say no, but now I do say no, but I also tell my other party that, please do not take this to heart. It should not affect our future relationship, but I have to tell you no for this specific thing. So I think these are three things that Nanju one needs to sort of has been difficult for me. Financially, it has been easy, thankfully. But coming to that golden mean and learning to say no have been difficult things for me to do.
And how a situation where you actually made a wrong decision? Obviously, you realized it at a later point in time, but how do you handle such a situation?
Uh, in my current scheme of things as an entrepreneur, so I
Yeah.
think sometimes, I mean, of course, it's a journey, right? It comes through experience, but sometimes I have taken up work with which I have not been comfortable with, or I may not be able to add enough value or too much value. I have done that initially, uh, you know, but now with time I have learned to say no, as I said. So that was a learning. If I mean, I we don't have to do every work that comes our way, basically. So and you can sort this problem out by just learning to say no politely, instead of taking up every work that comes your way. I think that's been a learning. I did some work initially which I was not comfortable with. I could not add too much value. The client was not happy because I could not add value, but that's been under the bridge. So thankfully, it's out of my system.
Right. You also are building tech solutions, you say. So how exactly that come about, coming from advisory services to you also mentioned you use theater and AI and
Yeah,
tech. So
yeah.
so
So
how do you
yeah,
do that?
yeah. So we realize that in today's world, being non-tech is not going to work. So we have two streams of formats. One is a non-tech part, which is where we use music, theater, dance, and stuff like that. But on the tech side, we basically bring that to our clients through our partnerships. Uh, I don't develop tech myself. I am not a techie guy, but I understand the application of technology to the business, and I work with good partners who have good solutions, good tech solutions to solve some problems or address opportunities of our clients. For example, we use AI in assessments, in learning. We have a AI based, mobile based game through which we do psychometrics. We have AI based recruitment solutions. We have AI based wellness solutions, uh, employee wellness solutions. So we are using tech and primarily AI right now to deliver on some problems that our clients might be having, or opportunities that our clients might be having to address. So it's more on an application based rather than a development based. We have a sales coaching tool which is AI driven. So the idea is to bring, the moment you bring tech, you're able to scale up, literally for thousands of people at the same time in a few seconds. So that's the idea. So with our large clients, which have some very basic problems with large numbers of people, we use tech solutions towards that. So that's the idea, Anju, on using tech. Uh, from our ecosystem point of view, our idea is to have a finger in this tech space, not get into development, because we are not a tech development firm. There are people who can do that better than us, but we work with those partners to bring those solutions to our clients in an application fashion.
Right. And Pawas, tell me, how do you present a case for culture as the most critical aspect of building an organization? Because uh, uh, culture is always an afterthought. I mean, personally, it's been my experience in interacting with
Mm.
so many
Mm.
businesses. So, how do you bring that into the core at a conversation? If you're working with startups, also that you do,
Yeah,
because in a large organization, yes, uh, there is already a long distance that they have come about, so they are able to think about culture. So, how do you bring that into the
sure.
into the
So,
conversation?
sure. So, uh, culture will anyway happen. Reed Hastings from Netflix actually made the statement that culture will happen. So why not design it, right? So I work with a startup called, and it's a very, that startup doesn't exist now. I used to work with them, but now they have, the founders have moved to some other startup, but that startup was called Purple Squirrel. So Purple Squirrel is actually also a term used for, uh, finding the right fit of people for a context. And like a purple squirrel, that right fit does not exist. There is no purple squirrel, right? Uh, a squirrel is not purple. Just like that, the exact right fit actually does not exist. But companies will keep looking for that purple squirrel, through their recruitment processes and so on and so forth. In spite of following a certain process, robust processes to recruit people, to onboard them, etc., there was a study done by NASCOM. Two-thirds of the startups have failed, not because of funding issues or not because of product market fit, but because of culture issues. The founders were not able to fix a right culture for their startup. And 2/3 of the startups failed because of culture issues. That's a data point. It's a published data point. I'm currently working with a payments bank. It's the only listed payments bank in the country. And they are looking to become a small finance bank in the next few years. And from there on, they want to become a universal bank. Now, as a payments bank, one can't lend. But as a small finance bank, one can lend as per RBI regulations. So they are very aware of this fact that they need to bring in a lending culture. Now, lending is not a process. Of course, it's a process, but it is also about culture. You can lend money to anyone. That's not important. What is more important is how do you risk assess to whom you are lending, and then how do you collect that money back? Lending is easy. Collecting the money is difficult. And one is a process, but it is also about culture. So this company is very aware and they engaged us to help them change their culture towards becoming a more professional, more process oriented bank, full bank kind of thing, right? So there are companies which are now very aware of culture as a lever towards success. I am working with some small company right now and one large conglomerate right now as we speak. And interestingly, both of them have the issue of performance orientation as a culture issue. And they're saying that it's because of COVID. So during COVID, people started working from home, and that has continued to some extent in a hybrid fashion. So when people work from home, there are performance issues because they get distracted and they end up, not engaging completely on the work front and so on and so forth. And when they go to office, because of the last few years of, staying at home and work-life balance importance and stuff like that, people have a lot of classes, personal classes in the evenings, like Zumba class or whatever it is. So the companies are supporting that, but then people are also taking long breaks at work while in office. They'll take half a dozen breaks during the day, smoke break or a walk after lunch. So companies are saying, guys, I'm supporting you on your work-life balance, but that doesn't mean that you take such long breaks and so many breaks while at work. So this was told to me by the CEO of this small company that I'm having this issue, Pawas. Help me solve this out. So people are more aware of culture as a lever towards performance, towards success, and this is true even for large conglomerates. I'm talking about a Birla company who spoke to me about the same subject. I met their CEO and the CHRO of a Birla company, and interestingly, they had the same issue of performance orientation. People are not performance oriented as a culture, right? They will have all the process, performance appraisal process, mid-year appraisal, goal setting, everything is there. But that won't work unless you have a performance orientation culture, right? So I think between a culture and process, both are equally important. But I think culture feeds into the content of the process. If culture is not there, process will not work or it will break down. And thankfully, especially COVID has thrown up the issue of culture in a bigger way. Companies wanting to protect their culture or change their culture, whatever it is. But culture as a subject has come up because of COVID. Thankfully, before that it was given, it was understood, it was there. But with COVID, I think companies are now more aware of culture as an issue, which is good for us, good for people like us. Then we get more work on the table. But having said that, I think culture is extremely important. I mean, I just gave you some data points around this.
Right. I know. I don't know. Have you worked with government agencies as well? Government departments, government-run businesses?
So I mean, yes and no. So I engage with IIMs as a visiting faculty. So they're of course a government institution, but that's
All
not
right. Yeah.
that's not traditional government as you are thinking of. But no, answer is no. I have not worked with the typical government agencies.
Okay,
I'm not
let me anyway. This is something I wanted to ask you, but you could, in the best way manner, you could respond to it. How do you see the difference of culture in a family business? I'm sure you must have worked with some family
yes.
businesses versus a publicly listed corporation which you are working with, and also government-run agencies
Hmm.
or companies, which you did say, but you have been observing a lot, but also multinational corporations.
Hmm. Hmm.
So how do you see the difference of culture? Maybe I can also throw in uh, a startup into this because that clearly doesn't belong to any of this, and which you
Yeah.
also work with. So how would
Yeah.
you put that?
So let me start with so multinational companies that what I've seen is on the culture front. Let me use the examples of large multinational companies.
But
Uh,
yeah, there again, there may be an element of bias because when we say multinational, it is multinational, but at the same time, where the origin makes a lot
yeah,
of difference. But
absolutely,
for
absolutely.
the conversation now, you can just put them in one box, unless you want to
No, 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 I
pick
agree. I agree with you. So
anything.
Japanese multinationals will behave very differently from an American multinational, which will behave
Correct.
very differently from an European multinational, right?
Correct. And even
So
within Europe, perhaps UK
yeah,
or
yeah,
Germany.
yeah. So that's there. Uh, I think, but broadly speaking, I mean, just to force put them into a bucket. I think multinational companies are more sure of their culture uh, because historically they have been there for 50 years, 100 years. They have operated in 50 countries, 100 countries, and in spite of having people from all over the world, they do have much more structured. Uh,
Some playbook they come with.
yes, they have recruitment processes which checks for culture fit. They have onboarding processes which checks for culture fit and so on and so forth. They also have exit processes if some resource is not fitting into the culture, right? So they are more structured. Let me just simply leave that there. Now let's look at, for example, family businesses. Family businesses, particularly in India, are only now getting more aware of culture uh, formally. Otherwise, it was more a founder family driven kind of culture. Whatever the founder family wanted happened. It was pretty much dictatorial. Uh, uh, or the founding family and their near managers, leaders who are very close to the family would have all the say. Not much empowerment, uh, and everyone just does their job, what they are told to do. But in the last few years, and particularly with COVID, I think Nanju has really brought up the discussion on culture. Having said that, how it is going to get implemented is still many years away because when I interact with clients, family business clients, in the meeting, I'm noticing that the founding family member or the person who's close to the founding family is doing most of the talking. The other so-called professional managers are generally quiet or they are alluding to whatever the founding family member is saying. They may say the right things on the face, but I think they are still many years away from actually implementing by heart any culture change journeys.
That's
Right?
been my observation as well. Yeah.
Yeah. But the good thing is that they're at least talking about it. They're giving it bandwidth. Uh, you know, just 2 weeks back, I had a 2 day meeting, 2 full days meeting with the CEO and the CHRO of a large conglomerate I was alluding to just recently. They are spending this much time on the subject of culture, but what will come out of it is a question. But at least they are spending the time on it, right? They're talking about it. I think that's a good thing. So that's multinational, that's family business. Government agencies. My observation is Nanju is that government has changed a lot in India. By the way, uh, uh, it has become very very forward looking. It has become very tech enabled. It has become very progressive, uh, and so on. I'm also seeing this in PSU, PSUs, PSU banks. So when I engage with these, I've engaged with Bank of Baroda, for example, as a PSU. Uh, when I engage with the top leadership of these entities, they are all of this. They are very forward looking. They are very progressive. They want to change. Uh, so they are giving the time. They have the management bandwidth uh, to talk about it in depth. But the moment it comes to implementation, uh, one has to work with the middle management of government, and that's where the penny is dropping. It's not that that water is sort of spilled over there. So I think the change journey has seriously begun in the government, but it is still very much at the top and near the top levels. It has not really percolated down to middle management even in that sense. That's my observation with the government agencies, that I have engaged with in some limited fashion. If you look at startups, I think startups very different kind of perspective. The founder knows it all. Especially if a successful startup we are talking to, the founder will have a view of that he knows it all. Uh, you know, uh, but what has got that person there will not. I mean, he may have brought the company from 1 to 10 to 100, but going from 100 to 1,000, that person may not really be able to do it because of, I mean, a typical startup founder is in his late 20s, early 30s. I mean, you can't really take the experience away, in that period of time. They may have a very different experience in that period of time, 5 years, 10 years, but it's still 5 years, 10 years. It's not 25 years. Uh, so time does teach you a lot of stuff, which on the face of it, they do say they respect. So they do hire senior professionals. Uh, but on my sense is on the face of it, they give them respect, but they end up doing what they want to do. So it's more like a family business. The startups are still behaving like family businesses in one sense. Also, from a funding point of view, they don't have the money, or they don't want to spend the money on stuff like culture, because they believe it's not adding to the top line or bottom line or helping them raise their valuation or help them raise funds. So this is where it stands in terms of culture. I think publicly listed companies are the best bet. They have a good mix of uh, you know giving importance to culture as a subject and working on that. Uh, uh, Not only because they are publicly seen, they are listed on the stock exchange, therefore they are more public in that sense, but also because the management is more mature, more professional, and they have a mix of young people, old, experienced people, and so on and so forth. So I think they're a good bet to work with in terms of culture transformations. That's my experience across the 5 buckets of
Well,
companies.
just want to throw in one more thing. I was just thinking, now SME listing is opened up. In fact, I think this year has seen maximum number of SME listing happen till date. So I think I'm at least personally, I feel it is important that that tribe grows
Yeah,
from a
yeah.
access to capital point of view. Are you working with them, and how is that experience? I mean, if you are working with these SME listed companies, do you see how do you see that? How do they see the culture as a core of
So
their
SMEs,
organization?
SMEs which are getting listed are actually better off than the older, larger, traditionally listed companies, actually, in terms of
Interesting.
working
Okay.
on culture, because they are more open. They are more open to things. They are seeing some things for the first time, literally, and they want to become big. They want to grow. The larger listed companies have been there, done that. They have seen success, so they have a feeling that they know it all. They are also more entrenched in their existing culture, so they are a little more tougher nut to crack in one sense. But listed SMEs are better off in that sense. That's my sense, Ranju.
Well, Pawas, thanks. You put a perspective on their approach to culture, but how do you see overall each of these things in the present and going towards the future? What's your perspective on each of these business segments from an Indian perspective, India point of view? How do you see this impacting overall, not just culture,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
overall businesses in India in each of these segments? How do you see this evolving?
Mm. I think my full marks to the government. I think I would really place them at the top. The government is really doing a good job in terms of being progressive, being forward thinking, using technology, making the life of citizens easier, in all aspects. I think there's a lot of good stuff happening in the government. And I think for the future in India, government, of course, will always play a big role in citizens' lives. But I think they're doing it well. And they now don't need to get out of spaces where they don't need to be. And they're doing that. We all know that compared to 10, 20 years ago. But otherwise, I think I would really give full marks to the government. That's clearly one. I'm very happy with the way the government has shaped up in India. That's one. If you look at the business houses, uh, and let's talk about family businesses first. I think the family businesses, as they are run, uh, they really need to change from. Uh, so the family can still run the business. That's not a problem. I mean, they are the largest shareholders and whatever it is, and they might be
They
listed as
can
well.
still own the business, but somebody else can run it.
Yeah, but I think it's about they can also run them. They can be the MD, CEO, whatever they want to be. That's fine. But I think the idea is to run the business in a professional way, which is not emotionally attached, or there is a emotional attached detachment, or whatever you want to call it. If so there is a lot of nepotism, favoritism, politicking, all the negative stuff that is there in a workplace is most seen in a family business. uh,
Sorry to interject. Pawas, I've been part of these kind of conversations in many places.
hmm,
Uh, it's uh, in India, this conversation is very predominant. Whereas if you look at it globally, 70% of businesses, small or big, are family run.
yes.
But why in India this nepotism is such a big talk and which is not otherwise outside? I mean, what is wrong? If you start the business, you own the majority. It's only
Yeah.
fair that you expect your son or daughter to run it. But why
Correct.
we in India make the nepotism such a big take,
So when
which
I
I don't see as much of a thing. I mean, it is there, but not as much in the argument.
So when I say nepotism, it's not about the son or the daughter of that founding founder to take on the business further. It's not about that. By nepotism, I meant he having a coterie of people who are close to the founding family, and they sort of call the shots. So it's not the power system, the power structure in a family business is very, very concentrated. It is not empowering. Everything goes up for approvals, and then there is a micromanagement of execution. That's what I have seen in family businesses. Unfortunately, it may last, it may not last. It's anybody's guess.
Oh, at this point, I just want to bring in. We had a guest called Balagopal, who just recently retired as the chairman of Federal Bank. He was also sharing his experience of being on the boards of uh, many other companies, and one of the places where he was talking about the founder on his board had his relative holding executive director positions, taking big salaries, but it's only limited to that. They don't really have a role to play in the organization.
Mm, mm.
So, and as an independent director, when he questioned, they were surprised. So, in fact, I urge the listeners and audience, if you have missed it, that's amazing conversation. So please do catch, because Balagopal comes with wealth of experience from IAS to entrepreneur to board of directors to chairman of a bank. It's just, and also author of multiple fantastic books. So please do catch that. and you will not regret it. So that experience, Pawas, he was sharing, where somewhere I thought that these people, one, they're just doing so because they actually are not very aware, and two, is just insecurity ridden.
Yeah,
Need to have my comfortable people in the board just
yeah,
so that I don't. I mean, they don't understand
yeah,
how the board structure can be done such a way to protect them. And somewhere we
yeah,
probably also have some gaps in our own
yeah,
structuring
yeah,
process, which gives way to these kind of things.
yeah.
What do you think?
No, I agree with you. So I think that's the real reason. But I think if you asked how do they board in the future of India, uh, I think they will have to change. They will have to change this soon. We today's 2023. I mean 2050 or whatever it is. We can't be having family business running like that. So that's for sure. Moving to startups. I think they're doing a very good job in terms of innovation, in terms of bringing technology, uh, you know, uh, to bear to people's lives. They have solved a lot of big problems. We all know that. I think the issue with startups is that even when they become reasonably mature, they become unicorns, they get listed, they still continue to call them startups, which is wrong. They are not startups anymore because you know a startup will see why is it startup. Startup meaning it's just starting up, right? I mean that's the definition of the word. And because of that context, it will always have some financial pressures. But a 10-year-old unicorn, listed unicorn, will not have financial pressures. So why call yourself a startup when you are not? Because the moment you call yourself a startup, uh, then you're imposing financial pressures on yourself, which will make you do things which you don't want to do, ideally.
No,
So
probably they are referred to as startups because you've been watching, right? Despite having raised multiple hundreds of millions of dollars, they're going bust.
yeah, okay.
So
But the point
probably,
I
yeah.
but the point I wanted to make is that startups have to
Yeah,
look.
very well taken. I was just
No, no. I see. The thing is, today's startup group was a startup 150 years ago. Today's lever was a startup 120 years ago. So any company starts with a startup, being a startup, right? I mean, any company. Uh, so when a startup is looking at itself to be an everlasting business forever, then it makes sense. But if a startup is looking at itself primarily to increase valuation and sell out, that's where it's a problem. Unfortunately, today's startup world in India is looking to increase valuation, sell out, start another startup, increase valuation, sell out. Unfortunately. So companies must be built and must be started to last forever. If that is the
uh,
approach,
if I can, uh, somewhere we in India, Indian companies, we don't really appreciate value in that sense, right? I was engaged by an investor to look at some businesses in the coffee space few years ago, and at that point of time, Coffee Day had was valued little over $800 million. Uh, Siddharth was very much alive. 2018, and around the same time, there was a coffee business in China called Luckin Coffee. You may recall. So Luckin was not as big as Coffee Day from a point because Coffee Day had about 2,200 outlets across 5 countries, but more than 2,000 within India, or around 2,000 within India. And obviously, you know that Coffee Day have captive supply of coffee coming from ABC, whereas Luckin was completely buying from outside, basically from traders, and they're not yet invested in their own coffee stores. And they were opening up, and it was estimated that they will have crossed 2,000 outlets by early 2019. And that was the time I was looking at it in 2018, and they were already valued at $4 billion. Just,
hmm,
just think of it. Here is a business which is not yet 2,000 outlets, which will be in only in China.
hmm,
And China, mind you, is never a coffee place, right? India got introduced to coffee almost 300 years ago. In China, coffee entry is probably 30 years or less and still very narrow. And there, they are valued 4 billion and coffee supply, everything. I mean, if you just look at every aspect, somewhere you can always say that it is ballooning of valuation or whatever. But at the same time, we have to own up that in India, we don't really see value in true sense.
Hmm. Hmm.
So that is from Coffee Day, and I've had similar experience. I worked with a small but 30-year-old company in India in the fashion accessory space, and a common contact reached out to me to help them with. They were valued at about 36 crores, right? And small restructuring showed their value at 90 crores for
Hmm.
their brand and
Yeah.
business,
Yeah.
and they're manufacturing at another 30 crores, so almost
Yeah.
three times, right? 36, you
Yeah.
keep it as 40, it's 120. See, that is a small business. So
Hmm.
that is where I'm so convinced that we in India don't, I mean, as much as the startup and
Hmm.
hypervaluation for the startup,
Hmm.
but there is a huge untapped value in these small businesses and
Yeah.
family businesses, which
Yeah.
we are not really realizing. If only we do that, we'll probably be multi-trillion-dollar economy than whatever we are
Yeah.
even targeting to be.
Yeah. 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 No, I agree with you. Totally, totally agree with you. But I think companies must start up. The companies must exist to serve a societal need, and ideally be there forever on the face of the earth. If they take that approach, valuation is a lack factor. It'll be there. I mean,
I mean, we also have to change the way we look at value as
yeah,
Indians
yeah, yeah,
because we are
yeah,
very conservative.
yeah,
That's the
yeah. So insurance companies have a concept of something called embedded value, right?
okay.
It's a very interesting concept which you can use outside of the insurance space. Embedded value is the current uh, net net present value of all the future profits of the company based on the current book size. Okay, it's very simple. It's mathematics. So, if an insurance company has certain policies on its books, uh, and those policyholders will give annuity for X number of years, each of them will have some maths to it. It's a simple Excel sheet calculation, and you just discount the inflation to current rates, and you come to a net present value of all the future profits of the company. That's your embedded value, and
Interesting.
you can use the same concept to value any business actually. So there is an enterprise value for a business, and there is a transaction or commercial value or embedded value of a business, right? uh, so valuation is required for certain reasons, no doubt, but they can't define the life of a company.
Correct.
A company cannot be run because of valuation as end objective. A company should be run because of of meeting certain societal needs and wanting to be there forever. Only then it'll actually add more value. I mean, if you do an embedded value calculation for infinity, it'll be very very high anyway, right? So why not exist for infinity? Why exist for only 5 years?
Yeah, there's a fair argument there. So now, what in India do you think will not change in the way things are changing as we go forward? What do you think will still remain the core?
In the business front or generally speaking?
Business.
Business front. I think as I said, government is surely changing. It's changing for the better. It's changing
Well,
fast.
on the government front, I have little disagreement,
Sure, sure,
particularly
sure,
on the business front.
sure, sure.
I'll just talk about one thing. See,
Yes.
uh, Nija is primarily into blockchain side of business.
Hmm.
So we do technology and business consulting in blockchain.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, a lot of my clients, I actually encourage them to open a shop in Dubai or Singapore or somewhere else because
Hmm.
there's a huge limitation in the way we. I mean, there's no compliance here, and it's very open-ended. So 4,000 companies got registered only in Dubai between Jan and June of 2023,
Understood.
and majority of them are Indian.
Hmm.
So I even tweeted to the finance minister saying you're doing a great job. That was
Hmm.
2022. I
Hmm.
tweeted saying you're doing a great job of pushing future unicorns out of India.
So did you get a
So
response?
zero. So not even from their office. So
Okay. Okay.
so somewhere, I think uh, they're just blind to this whole new
Hmm.
growth opportunity, and there is so
Sure.
much of money happening. So that
Okay.
is my growth about the government side. But apart from that, I'm with you on everything.
No, no, fair point. I think so. What will unfortunately not change in India is, and so we talked about family businesses, right? So we are all hoping that they will change for the better in terms of a professional running of businesses, uh, and we can give them time. We can give them whatever time, 10 years or whatever it is. But I really find that a sticky spot. Uh, you know, uh, when that will change, it will change or not. Uh, as you said, most of the businesses in the world are family-run businesses. Even in India, 93% of businesses are family-run. So that's a big pie. Uh, uh, but there is hope in the sense, the new generation of founding families are very different from the founding fathers. They are, um, in their own right, very uh, accomplished, educated. If you look at, I mean, just to take names because it's public information, if you take the next generation of Ambani's Reliance company, I think they're very different from Mukesh Ambani or Dhirubhai Ambani. If you look at the next generation of Aditya Birla Group, Ananya Birla and Ayushman Ariman Birla, very different from Kumaramangalam Birla and his father. Uh, they are accomplished in their own right, and they have proved themselves in one sense. They are they have got the best education in the world as a background. So there is hope, but even these guys who are in their 20s right now, the new generation of founding families, will still take 10 odd years to find their feet in their own businesses and prove themselves and change the course of their businesses. I think so. It's not something that will not change, but it will change slowly. That's the only thing I wanted to point out here. Startups is another one thing that which should change pretty fast. This funding winter will make them rethink. Any adversity will always have some thinkers on the side who will hopefully think for the better and change the way things are run in that space. So that will happen. It's a churn that will happen. Again, I'm not saying that that will not change. It's only that they will change slowly.
And yeah, I mean, if I can put it, valuation based to value based. If I
Correct.
move
Correct.
right. So if you were to give a shout out to our entrepreneurs and technologists for the future from a point of approaching or focusing on building culture to build organization, what would your shout out be?
No, I think if they change the perspective of wanting to create things forever, whether it's companies or whether it's products, if they take that perspective, it can be designed. I think if they are more aware of that fact, I think they're only increasing the probability of success for a much longer period of time. That'll be my shout out to all the entrepreneurs, to the tech guys, to the startup founders, and so on. It's not an expense. Culture is seen as an expense. Any work on culture is seen as an expense, but is actually an investment forever, literally. And expense is also what? It's not much. But it's not an expense for sure. It's an investment.
Right. Yeah. Essentially, not an expense, an investment. That's the right term. And thank you so much, Powers, and to the listeners and audience. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did in this conversation. In fact, I would have just liked to continue more, but uh, we 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 have to put a stop because we'll anyway have to schedule one more meeting with Pawas to do our future gazing as we always do. And please do come back and please feel free to share this conversation, this podcast with everybody. And I'm sure those of you who just continued with this, started with this, will anyway go back and listen to the first part with Pawas. And for those who have not yet subscribed to Future Fast, do it right now. And also, once again, Pawas can be reached. The links are right below this podcast. Please do follow him, his work, and you can always reach out. And he is very approachable. Pawas, once again, thank you so much for
Thank
doing
you.
this. And
Thank you, Nanju. Thanks a lot. My pleasure, totally. Thank you.
my